Hey YouTube, it's your regular Joe Justin here, back again bringing another video on 4 Joes by a Joe. This is going to be a quick video of me comparing an Ar-15 to a bolt rifle for that shit hits the fan prepper type situation. Make it, take everything I've got to say with a grain of salt as always. A lot of people ask this question in that world, whether an Ar-15 bolt or shotgun or pistol are going to be the best weapon to take with them. Personally, I take the AR-15, but you make your own choice. And if you got something that you want to say, leave it down in the comments below. I love any kind of feedback that I can get from these videos. Lets me know what you want to hear, and also, gives me other ideas and stuff like that. I'm always open to learning a new thing. So, leave it in the comments below. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. First, we're going to talk about this rifle here. It is a bolt action rifle, chambered in .308. It is, some of you may recognize this stock. It's a Remington 700 stock. Difference between this and a lot of bolt actions is it's got the Mauser action in it, and with another barrel. Guy custom made this. And it's a very accurate white rifle. Weaver scope sitting on top of it. Very great, very good scope. An older type scope. It's if you're wondering, it's a Weaver V9-2, made in the U.S. So it's one of the older ones, like I said. But great scope. But that's not what you're here to watch. This couple points about the bolt action and why it might be a good survival type rifle is, for one, it's simple. The action is very simple. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with this action. Locks into place. You fire the weapon. You have to reload another round before you can fire it again. But like I said, very easy to maintain. Requires very little to no lubrication because the parts really aren't, for the most part, there's not a whole lot of, obviously the metal's rubbing on metal and stuff like that, and you want to keep it lubed, but in that situation, all this action and stuff like that, all this movement is done manually with your hand here. So that's what's going to be actuating the action itself. So not a whole lot can go wrong there. It's up to you to reload the rifle after every shot. So that's probably the biggest point you could put into this. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with it. I'm going to kind of jump back and forth between pros and cons, I guess. A con, in my opinion, is you don't have a whole lot of options here. And look at how long that rifle is. It's very long. This rifle, with everything that's on it, including the sling, you're looking at approximately 9 to 10 pounds here. So it's a relatively heavy rifle. I'm not saying all bolt actions are heavy. The main reason this one's pretty heavy is it's got a very long barrel on it. I don't remember the exact length of the barrel, but it has a particular long barrel compared to most rifles. Another thing that adds to the weight is my obsession with bipods. I like to have a bipod on just about every rifle because they're very useful. I might jump back and forth between guns, but I'm going to try to show you here. I'll set it on my lap so you can get an idea here. The length. You're looking at almost 10 to 12 inches additional length. So if you're in an urban environment and having to deal with homes and corners and stuff like that, you've got an extra foot of weapon to deal with, and two, you're limited to, you have to put another round every time, for every time you pull the trigger. This is a 308 round here. I won't load it in there, but You have to, with this particular bolt action, and not all bolt actions are like that, that some do have magazines, but this one, you do have to load in from the top, and it has a capacity of, like, I believe 3 or 4 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. So that brings us to another con. I know it's going to jump back and forth between pros and cons, but ammo capacity. So you're looking at probably at max with a magazine for some of these bolt action rifles, you're looking at maybe a capacity of 10 rounds compared to the AR-15, where you can have anywhere from 10 round magazines up to 100 round magazines. The most common is a 30 round magazine. So that would be a downfall. A pro, though, is you can put distance between you and your target. This particular rifle is quite a bit more accurate than I am, which most rifles are. I'm a good. I don't want to say I'm a bad shooter, but I am a good shot, I believe. And what I'm saying is, I would never be able to squeeze all the accuracy out of this rifle, or even this rifle, for that matter. But it's going to put me on target at farther distance. Farther distances easier. Not partially because of the scope, but also because of this long barrel. It's going to give me longer distance shots, and it's going to make it a little bit easier for me to fire. A lot of that has a little bit to do with the round. Though with the 308 you do have to figure in more drop at farther distances than the 22556. That's a whole different beast. So upside pro for this, you're going to be able to reach out probably to that thousand yard mark a lot easier than you would with an AR-15. AR-15s with a 16-inch barrel, you're looking at a max effective range of 800 yards. And really, for all intensive purposes, unless you have a 3-9 scope or even a higher power than that, 800 yards is a decent stretch for that caliber, and that length of barrel, I should say. You know, that's not to say that you can't do it and you can't do it effectively. Effectively, you could probably shoot out to 100 yards and still take down your target, but it's going to be a lot bigger stretch. You're going to lose a lot of that velocity, and like I said, whole different ball game. But more effective at range. The bolt action itself is known to be the most accurate action, though semi-automatics are starting to catch up. Like I said, another con would probably be the versatility. It's not as capable as far as, I guess I would say not as versatile. What I'm talking about as versatility is tactically, it's not as versatile for all situations. As you can see, I do have a bipod on, and like I said, I'm kind of impartial to having a bipod on my weapons. I like the stability of when you go prone with a bipod, even when you're sitting. It gives you options, and I like options. So the versatility, not to say that you couldn't put a flashlight on here, not to say that it's tactically non-versatile, but as far as clearing a room, clearing a building with a bolt action rifle, it's going to be a lot more difficult. That's just a couple points on the bolt action rifle. We're going to go over to the AR-15. A pro for the AR-15, it's probably its biggest, actually a pro for both of these, both AR-15 and Bolt, is the fact that they're both easy to clean. Both of them really don't require much tools as far as cleaning the action. The barrel, both of them are going to need, push rods and stuff like that. But both of them are easy to clean, so that's another pro for both of them. But a pro for the AR-15, it's short. not a whole lot of length there. Most of them stock, when I mean stock without any accessories or anything like that, weigh in around that 6 to 7 pound mark, so they're light. That's anywhere from 4 to 3 pounds lighter than this bolt action rifle, with a whole lot more going on here. So relatively light. I guess a con, in my opinion, is it's hard for me to think about the cons, because I do like the AR-15 platform, and I don't I guess I don't view a whole lot of things to be a con in this rifle. A con would be that I guess my optic compared to the a standard 3-9 scope is now I'm relying on batteries. So that could be a con. Though I do have backup iron sights, but then again, I lose my range once these batteries wear out, and I have to switch to the iron sights. Only reason I lose my range is because then at that point the reticle on the EOTech becomes it wouldn't be there anymore, and I wouldn't be able to use my 3x magnifier. Otherwise, without this, I wouldn't have the range that I do now. It's going to be harder to reach out and touch people after that 800 yards. I think it's a stretch to use this weapon system's from that 5 to 800 yard mark anyways. So that would be a pro compared to the bolt action rifle. There's a lot of pros for this though. Tactically, it's very versatile. It's probably one of the more used calibers in the world. The 5.56 223. More people probably own these, and it's a military type weapon, so finding parts and different things for it to accomplish different situations will probably be a little bit easier than bolt action rifles. Not to say that there are tons and tons of bolt action rifles, because it's, in my opinion, probably the most used hunting rifle in the world, that action. But another pro would be the fact that ammo capacity. We talked about a 5-round capacity on the bolt, 5 to 10 round capacity on the bolt action rifle compared to a standard 30-round capacity magazine for the AR-15. So, you know, they're both durable, so that's a pro for both of them. You have a lot of adjustability on the AR-15. Probably a less mentioned advantage to an AR-15 is that it absorbs its own recoil. What do you mean by that, regular Joe Justin? Well, what I mean by that is, in the back here, as the rifle cycles, the bolt on the upper receiver is moving back and forth in the firearm like that, and this spring here, this is the buffer and the buffer spring, and this would be the buffer tube. This system is going back and forth like this along, if you can imagine this back down here, it's moving back and forth like this, and this spring and buffer is absorbing the recoil within this tube. And if you can see there, it's absorbing the recoil, whereas on a bolt action rifle, you are the buffer system. You absorb all the recoil here. It comes directly back into your shoulder. Like I said, you're going to be receiving all that recoil from this weapon system. Not that big of a deal, but it is a point worth mentioning, especially if your significant other or daughter or female companion would possibly be firing the weapon. Not saying they can't fire it any less or better than you. I've known plenty of females that are better shots than me. My girlfriend in particular is just as good, if not better on some days than I am, and just as capable of firing a firearm as I am. So I'm just saying though, for the less experienced females that may not be used to the recoil of a weapon, this is going to be a little bit more difficult to handle compared to the AR-15 in my opinion. Plus they don't have to really deal with anything as far as the action unless they're reloading and reloading and stuff like that. This, every time they fire, not that the bolt action's difficult to work, but what I'm saying is, you give them 30 rounds and that's, you got 30 rounds, go ahead and fire. So that's something to consider. Now I just covered some points, so, and I hope this video is under that 10 minute mark. If you got any questions or you want to put some stuff in the comments below and say fight for what you believe in for, that'd be great. I'd like to hear what you've got to say. So leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, please subscribe and hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated.